folks, my Rolla here with my two superstar friends. I'm going to bring them right on before I hit a wrong button and screw up everything. Billy O'Donnell and Gregory Peck. How you doing? We're waiting for Trade Martin to come on.
Hi,
Craig
Larry.
just sent him another thing.
Come on.
How you doing, Billy? You look good. How's your
Yeah,
foot?
I'm okay. Still in the booth.
Well, he works hard all the time, Larry. I told you he's up there. People thought that his career ended at driving. It was only starting.
Well,
Yeah, really.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, yeah.
Because every time I see him, something else. It went from a foot to the eye to the shoulder to the wrist to the hand.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, something else is bandaged.
Well, we had Greg's mom on. She could have told him about the time I broke my arm too. She was the X-ray technician at home.
How many years was that?
Jesus,
70?
that was about 60, probably 60 years anyway. I was 12, I think.
Yeah, so 70-some years. Yeah, she
we
just
were riding the horse.
all-
Yeah, we were riding the horse bareback, and so I was on the front, and a friend of mine, John Chadwick, he was on the back. We never had a saddle. We're going bareback just down through the path coming from the shore, and he said, "Well, let her run." I said, "No, you got to balance yourself though." So anyway, I got her on the trot a little bit. All of a sudden, off he went. And who'd he take with him? Me. He broke his ribs, and I broke my wrist.
Which wrist you break?
The right one. Same.
Did it
And then I
bother
broke the
you?
left.
Bother you again?
No.
No.
It was good. And then later on in racing, I broke the left one, but that one still bothers me a little bit. But I didn't leave the cast on long enough. But, every horseman's the same, right? So Jimbo had a little what do you call those saws there? Drumming tool. So we kept grinding it down and modifying it a little bit, and then pretty soon I don't need that. So I just took it off. I wish I had.
You know what I did once in Green Mountain? That wreck, I talked about it once when it was the last race at Green Mountain, and Gabe Bonacci had a real bad puller. Her name was Miss Carol Yu, and she was one of the front run. One of the things you just put on the gate when the gate leaves you, she just goes right out of there all by herself. She just had to make the top. And so anyway, she draws the 9-hole, and that 9-hole at Green Mountain was a trailing position. Anyway, the wind up was I couldn't hold her. I went over the guy. It was a mess. Anyway, they had no ambulance. Sadowski takes me to the hospital, and they put a cast on my arm, all the way from my shoulder all the way down to my fingertips. And what I did the very next day was I cut the cast off because my arm was broke right here, right between my wrist and my elbow. I cut the cast off right where my fingers were free, and I drove just put the handhold right in them 4 fingers there, and that was it. Just like this. And all guys, if you get to that point where you can handle the weather, you can handle the horses, you felt you were born to do this, and you really love it, and you feel this. Them are the things you do. You took your cast off early, and so a lot of guys. I remember at the Meadowlands, Campbell's locker was right next to mine, and every time I go in there, he got another metal brace on one knee, something on another knee, and it's always something. Here's Trade Martin now. Yeah. But that's what harness guys do. That's what they do. The Trade Martin must having a problem.
Yeah.
Trade, if you could hear me,
I can hear you.
Well, we don't see you, so probably the best thing for you to do is
I have an idea.
Just disconnect everything and try it all over.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
Trade.
Let me try.
What did you sign in with Google Chrome? That you signed on?
You know what happened? It's a long story, but I'm on a different computer because my other computer it kind of blew up on me. So
if you can, do you have Chrome for a browser?
Not on. Yeah, I do have Chrome. Yeah, you want to try to come in on Chrome?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'll come in on Chrome.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me try to come in on Chrome.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to sign out and I'll come in on Chrome.
How about while he's getting ready to the California racing, but Fresno is a little out of the way, huh?
California racing is what, Greg?
We're going to race in Fresno. Did you see that?
No, they found a place, eh? Oh, good.
Well, it's approved for fall of 26.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Do
Uh,
they have one? Are they done there at Sacramento now, or they got this the last? They got one more year. They're done.
oh no, they're done.
They're the most resilient people I've ever seen.
They proved 38 dates, 26, 27, meet at Fresno, that is slated to start on Saturday, December the 12th, 2026, with Saturday card through the month of December, then adding Sundays in January through May the 1st.
Can you fix
They
that so it's
said
a whole
like
screen?
100. Oh yeah, trade. They said it's about 170 miles south of Cal Expo, so it's not really. You're getting even farther away from San Francisco, obviously, and you're 4 hours to LA, so not that anybody's going to go anyway, as we've talked about.
No, exactly.
I think they used to do a little business, because I can remember in our claiming days, Kenny, when we'd be claiming a Saturday Expo on the way home, I think in the day they got a little handle.
I got my technician here. She's going to open this up so it's all on the whole screen.
Well, she's a white shoe Toronto lawyer secretary, so basically that's known as a genius.
Right. Yeah.
According to Bob, there is no higher, nothing else you could do better. Yeah.
And we lost Billy.
Yeah, all right.
This girl that I'm going to call tomorrow, I don't know her. She a nice girl?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She's handy. She could do stuff. If she could put up with me, it's not easy, you know.
Well, as long as she knows how to operate it, I'll talk to her tomorrow.
I should know what the kind of machine is. Now, the one who I wish we could get, I'm always laughing about, but I think I asked you if you knew Jimmy Orvidorf from Gray's Saddlery, and you said you didn't, I think.
No,
what?
I did. I don't think I know him. I remember Gray's Saddle,
Well, he inherited from Mr. Gray. But he'll tell you he got about 20 sewing machines that would do it. So I don't know. But Christy I'm trying to think. It was when we were in Canada is where she bought it. I can't think of the name of it, but they're a good one. They're
Does
Chinese.
Christy know this guy Gray that you just mentioned?
What's that?
Does Christy know this guy Gray?
Orvidorf, absolutely.
Okay, so maybe they could work together. That'd be good because he probably has everything I need. Okay,
if Orvidorf doesn't have everything you need to sew, would they, Billy? Nobody would, according to Orvidorf now.
Yeah. No, he's very good.
He does have them, I think. Yeah.
Well, what I'll do
if
she agrees to what I have to say tomorrow, I'll just drive down there. I'll meet with her and I'll show her the patents I have. I'll show her So I think it'll be okay. But like I said, if she needs a special machine or something, whatever she needs, I'll buy as long as she knows how to operate and do these. Because if this thing works, I'm gonna have to hire a lot of people and have a whole warehouse. It's gonna be a whole. It's gonna.
Well, she'll be your first hire, maybe.
Yeah, and then I'll let her run. Once she's involved doing that, that's going to be her whole thing. You know, that'll be her.
Oh, she can do it.
Yeah.
If it can be done, she can do it.
So that'll be good. I have
still no trade, huh?
No, he said he's trying to get on as Computer Pro. Who knows?
He'll eventually make it. David Arthur says, good evening, all. So we're going to say David is a good I was going to say he's a good customer, but no, he's good in the audience. He watches all the time.
Yeah,
We
he's
appreciate
there
having.
all. There's a lot of sharp people here that 3 or 4 guys that are pretty sharp, both in the thoroughbred industry and the other industry. There's a good guy that comes on here. In fact, I'm gonna pull it up right now. He asked me to do this. I don't think tonight's a good night to do it, but I'll because it's here it is here. Here's what he said. He says, "Hello, Larry. This is a guy that watched every podcast that I did for the last 2 years, over 200 of them." He says,
Yeah.
"Hello, Larry. I am anxiously awaiting your podcast tonight. For some reason, I have the whole day completely free, so I'm just enjoying doing nothing. I would like to talk about tonight. The trainers at Belmont Park that once had great records can no longer sustain a racing stable. Much to be said about that. I am not sure if you can fit that in, but it was something that I'd be interested in listening to." And what he's saying is right, because right off the top of my head, even the years that I was there, aside from, in fact, the year that I was stabled at Aqueduct, Baeza, who was a Hall of Fame jockey, he retired and he became a trainer, as did Angel Cordero, as did 1 or 2 other ones. They all failed. They didn't last very, very long, but there were other trainers that, and this is probably not the right time to do it, that were superstars back then. I'll just give you one example because I think he's out of the game now. A guy called Juan Saray. And his claim to fame back then was every horse every week they got 10 cc's of testosterone. And I mean, he just overloaded every one of his paddock. Every one of his horses come into the paddock on their hind legs. So he was into that whole drug thing, and not that he did anything illegal. And I think it was right after that, the abuse of just testosterone, that they made it now where a vet wouldn't give a horse any more than 5 cc's of even the water-based testosterone. So, but there's a lot of guys that became superstars for a short period of time before they really start clamping down on the drug thing. And that would be a very, very interesting show, but I would have to get somebody but I couldn't get a thoroughbred trainer to talk about it because they'd be talking about the game that they're involved with, and they don't want to get anybody mad. Just like, it's tough to talk about. I mean, I have stories I could tell you about Hall of Famers like Woody Smith and not Woody Smith.
Woody Stevens.
Woody Stevens, all the superstars, they all had an edge, and they all had certain ways of doing things. And someday, you know what? Someday, Roy, the guy's name is Roy. Roy, we're not going to do it tonight because the 2 guys that are on there with me now, they got a million stories each, and they're very entertaining. But someday we'll just talk about these guys like Woody Stevens and 2 or 3 other trainers that I know, including the trainer of Secretariat and that horse, and the veterinarians that treated these horses like Carryback and Secretariat stuff. It's very, very interesting. The history that goes back that far. That if it was today, they would be barred for life. But back then, they had an edge, and they got away with it for a long time because nothing they did was really illegal. So, but it's interesting that, and the same thing with harness racing. There's a couple of harness guys that took advantage of certain things when they first came out, like Epigen, before they found out what it was, and before they convinced the company to put traces in there, and on and on and on and on. Because everybody, the bottom line is this: everybody in horse racing and racing and any business in the world, they're all looking for an edge, and the ones that find the edge become superstars are very successful or geniuses or whatever. And if Trade Martin was on, he would tell you about Nancy Pelosi, how she was worth nothing. And then right now she's worth $500 million dealing in the stock market. And the edge was she knew what to do, when to do it, and how to vote. It's everybody has an edge. Everybody's looking for an edge. So anyway, it don't look like Trade's coming on. So, oh yeah, wait a minute. Here he is.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
here he is. Here he is. All right, Trade, you got it.
There you go.
Hey, Billy. How are you, Bill?
How you doing? Good, good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
And I'm
So
going
you
to
talk
pick
about-
up on something here, Larry.
What's that?
Go ahead,
Okay,
what?
we were talking about how the little guy, can't survive anymore. Well, relatively, it's always kind of been that way. That if you think back of the days of Houghton and Dancer, yes, there were others. And then now you have Burks, where Ronnie has, to me, is basically what he is finely tuned a corporation that he has CEO capacity qualities about him that he can do this, where most people, I would say, couldn't do it, but that's all he does. But so it's the same, and they always allege so and so had the juice, the stuff, this, that. Then the drivers, they'd want to tell you, oh, well, Campbell and O'Donnell drive the best horses. And there's no way you could kind of get them to say, well, when I say, how did they get them then? Well, they kind of would change the subject. Well, they got them by being the best. So Dexter Dunn, I mean, he came from here and he wasn't insert. Now he does get them. So is it the business, Mr. O'Donnell? I'm going to ask you. Always kind of been that way. There's a select
I think it always.
few.
Yeah, I think it always was. With when I went to New York, Saratoga was a little bit different. I had my own horses and I classified them right, and they won. But when I went to New York and started catch driving, the one thing that made people look at me was Lionel Minbar. When I bought him and took him down there, and he worked himself up from a C1 trotter to the Open, and was horse of the year a couple of years in New York. But you got to have a good horse, number one, and the opportunity, number two. Once you get the opportunity, then it's what you do with it. And a lot of people have had opportunity and it couldn't follow it through, or for whatever reason. And they stay hot for a little while, like Larry said. They were successful. I know with my stable, talking about testosterone, I never used testosterone, but I bought a horse from my uncle one time. He was a stud, and my uncle said, you have to give him equipoise. He's no good without it. So I raced him a month, and he called me and said, how's that horse doing? I said, no good. He said, are you giving him equipoise? And I said, no, I got a girl looking after him, and he's a stud, and I'm afraid to give it to him. He said, no, don't. He doesn't turn him dirty. Like a lot of them would make them, evil.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'll try. I said, how much do you give him? He said, just give it to him until he bites you, then back off a little bit. So
That's right.
and that's basically what I did. And it worked on him. And, he quickened up for 2 or 3 seconds. And every horse that ever came in my barn, that's what they got. They got their teeth done, they got wormed, and they got 5 cc's of equipoise. So,
and here is what's so disappointing. Equipoise, Windstrong, Clenbuterol, etc., were approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, Health Canada, that they were good for horses. They were approved for horses, that they improved horses' health if they were used in prescription levels. So now what they should have done is said, okay, you can't use 6 cc's or 6 milliliters of these hormones, but you can use 5 because listen, I worked for the FDA. Most products do not get approved. So the dumb thing about this is now it's really created a market for the black market type to go to the street and get stuff that gives a similar effect. But as Michael Garino said here a couple of weeks ago, but there's no tracer for it. That's the big thing. And I'll tell you another funny story about, and it involves William O'Donnell. I had a mare called Dance in Princeton. So I was leaving that week. I had to go to Winnipeg to do seminars. All right. So they were all complaining about her doing okay. So the week before, no equipoise the next week. So she went up to the Meadowlands, and I watched. I went all the way out to Assiniboia Downs and watched the simulcast of the day. She was horrible. And I called him the next night, and Billy, called me. I think it's I don't know. Well, I know she had the equipoise the next week, and she jogged. And she got really good. I mean, she came first over and beat that big bear that Baggett bought from Jimmy Groff that time. And and I've told him about, but now you can't use it. So that's what they've gotten, and they've got so many, and they had the science, and I don't understand why Big Pharma didn't tell them you can't do that, because we proved it, and we've put years into it to keep the patent and all that stuff. And you know what? It's not even worth talking. It's so stupid. Trade, how are you?
I'm doing good. Everything's good.
I could talk about.
Trade. I just want to apologize to you guys because I was disoriented today. I had laser surgery on one eye today because of high pressure in my eyes. I have perfect eyes. I mean, I have great peripheral vision. My optic nerve is great. Everything is great. But I had high pressure, and the doctor said, I got to get laser surgery. So I went in and got it this morning at 7:00. And I'm kind of recovering from it. I mean, I feel good, but my eye is blurry. My right eye is blurry. But I'm okay.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Have you had cataracts at all, Trade? Have you ever had cataracts?
My cataracts are very small. He said, I don't need cataract surgery right now. But he said, he said, I got to get the laser surgery. So
I had the cataract surgery a year ago. What a difference. What a difference.
I heard it's a big difference. Yeah,
Well,
I know.
I was nearsighted my whole life, so you can't see far away. And now I'm the opposite. These are just reading glasses I get on. But once they do them, and they do one at a time, one within a month, right?
Right.
And it was kind of it's almost like you don't even want to go back to get the second one done. I mean, you can see so well. So after that, but now I can see from here to Toronto, 40 miles, but I can't read anymore. So, but no, it's the kid that did me. He's a little Chinese guy. He did 22 a day. He said.
Really? Yeah, I heard it's a very walk in the park operation.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah. 5 minutes you're in there. No, yeah.
Well, they don't do cryos. They don't do cryo on in your eyes at all. Because that liquid nitrogen doesn't go with it. But anyway,
they did me.
Oh yeah,
they did that with me. I had a torn retina or detached retina, and I went to an ophthalmologist, and you see a black spot, and he looked and said, yeah, you got 2 tears. So he sent me down to a surgeon just down the road in Paramus. So I went down, and he said, he said, the only thing I can either do you here in the chair, or we have to wait 5 days to redilate your eye. So I said, do it now. Well, he starts strapping me in. He strapped my head in, my feet, my arms, all that stuff.
No kidding.
And he puts needles in my eye to freeze it. And then he's going to do laser. So he's looking at it, and he said, you know what? It's too big for laser. I'm going to cryo it. So he took his cryo pencil.
He did use the nitrogen, yeah.
Yeah. And put it right in my eye and put it on the back of the retina. And all I could, the first time he stepped on the gas, I passed out. And I woke up, and there was blood all over the place and stuff. But that was 40 years ago, and it's still held. So it's worked for me.
I was kidding about the cryo thing because we've done that to horses for years. But
but that's now known to good for a lot of things. And I've been told for years, because through the American Association of Equine Practitioners, the difference, they thought it was not just cryo was cold, and that the other one, the line firing, what do they call it? The
pin fire.
Hot fire. The pin fire did not have the healing capacity that the cold of the liquid nitrogen did. Now that's why I was always told. And I'll say this. I don't think I ever had one cryo that it didn't work, but you had to give it time too.
Oh yeah.
With some
sure.
guys who want to cryo the sprint on Wednesday and go race on Saturday. Well, that you can't do. You know, that's a miracle.
We talked about that nitrogen. I was at the doctor one time and I had some eye tags, like, skin tags on my eye and stuff, and they look like that. So I asked the doctor about them. He said, I'll take care of them. So he came in with a little cup with a Q-tip, and he dipped it in there and he just touched them all up. 3 or 4 days are gone. They fell off. But the one spot, I cut myself shaving or nicked myself shaving. He thought it was a skin tag. And he touched that up, boy, man. When that come out, now I'll tell you that burned for a few days after, but it took them off. Well, I cut one off with a razor one time, and it bled. I mean, it bled.
Oh, that's dangerous. Yeah, you can get infected too. But Dr. DeLeo, Larry, Dr. DeLeo, he was a good guy, right? Larry?
Oh yeah, very good.
Great guy.
And he had a couple of good guitars. I know he liked to play guitar, but one day he was going to cryo a horse, and he didn't have the liquid nitrogen. So I said, well, I'll go and get it for you. So I went to Kearney to get it. It's so dangerous to carry liquid nitrogen in the car, and I didn't even realize. We just put.
I used to get it from all the time. That place on and right in Kearney there. I used to go.
Yeah, that's a place.
Get it from all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just from here. Somebody said this is an interesting one from Larry Cox. I'm listening to Death of a Racehorse on my phone on daily walks. No way in hell would I have Bobby Baggers as my trainer. Can you be a little more specific about that, Larry? Because I'd like to try and answer it and see what we can do about that. Because that's an interesting thing that we're because actually Larry, the hood that he's invented is so prevents them from dying. So if you could just Larry, be a little more specific, we'll get to that. Trade.
Yeah.
It'd be the same way, like Billy and I, the music business would be the same way, that it rises to the top, right? And the top singers get the top songs, the same as the top drivers get the top horses. Isn't that what happens in that?
That's very true. But now, listen,
right?
most singers and recording artists, they all think they're writers. And, it's almost like, listen, I couldn't be Billy O'Donnell in a zillion years. I can train a horse pretty good, but driving wise, I was, I was not a good driver, and I would be first to admit that. But guys they're really great singers. They go to the top, but they wind up saying, well, it's almost like I want to drive my own horse. So they want to write their own songs, but they're really not that good. They're not really good writers, Yeah. And just like I wasn't a good driver. But they try to write the songs, and then what they do is they try to write with a top writer. So they be like me, Billy O'Donnell and I driving the horse together. So Billy excels with my default edge. But so they write with somebody really great, and then they start coming up with some decent songs. But on their own, they may as well fold it up. They can't.
Does this happen too, though? That to get the one I always talk about is George Strait. What's he got? 60 number ones. But basically, you had Dean Dillon, Hank Cochran, all these great writers, and the odd one you'd see him on there as writer as well. But they probably, to be nice or maybe to get him recorded, they might put him on as co-writer because he changed a word or two, right?
Right. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah.
I get that.
That's what they say.
But it's I could just see it comes down to them getting the songs. It's been on Netflix for what was on ABC, a show called Nashville. So there's a lot of that basically. By the way, of anybody, it's kind of interesting that how they go maybe get discovered at the Bluebird Cafe and stuff like that.
Right.
Trade. I want to ask you this because Chris Coyle.
Sure, right.
Who is the hotelier to the star, I call him. Yeah. What about Trump? We got a song for him that you could sing, like a verse of, because we want to have a little fun on here. What do you got for Trump? What do you
Well, I had written a number of things for Trump, and I have something that I'm almost finished with. It's cool. It's almost like, well, I got Trump being Davy Crockett on YouTube. He's personalizing. He's doing an impression of Davy Crockett. So I did the Davy Crockett song, but then I have a song that's like a bio of Trump growing up. That he went to certain schools. He was born at this day, and he was born in Queens or wherever. And I haven't finished it up yet. So when I do finish it up, which will be in the next couple of weeks, I will make sure I play that for you. But I do have a great Christmas song that I wrote a number of years ago when Trump was first
Sorry to
president.
bother you. Does everybody have their phone shut off? Because we're getting interference. Everybody, you got your phone shut off, Trade?
Actually, I don't know, but I
Your
will.
phone shut off.
Why is it?
Shut it off, yeah, because we're getting interference. Yep. Larry, you got your phone shut off, Billy, everybody? Yeah.
Shut it off right now.
Does it have to be shut right now?
You're the one who told me to do it. You were the one who discovered it, Larry.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's right.
There we go. Mine's
So-
off.
You got it?
Mine's
I'm
off.
off now. I'm off now too.
Okay, mine's off.
Sounds real quiet now to me. I mean,
That's nice.
everybody
Yeah,
else all right?
Yeah.
You hearing
We're
anything?
going to see.
You know, last
No.
night, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you didn't, not last night, the night before, I did a podcast about music and about how the people in Nashville, they wouldn't even consider doing a song, no matter how great it was, if you weren't from Nashville. And a couple of my friends that wrote great, and I played one of them last night, that they just refused to if they didn't write it, or if you didn't come from Nashville or that area, and you didn't use Nashville musicians or do it. Alfred Natoli wrote a couple of songs. He spent a lot of money having Nashville musicians play these songs, but because it was written by Alfred, who lives in Lodi, New Jersey, Garfield, New Jersey, they wouldn't even consider it. Two great songs. And the one that I played last night was the song that Alfred wrote for the Four Seasons, and because what the hell's his name? They didn't write it. They wouldn't play it, and I played the song, and everybody that heard it said it's a perfect song. I wish I had the guy's name, the guy that used to write all the songs, the guy that
Bob Gaudio,
yeah, Bob Gaudio. He would play. If I played the song right now, you would say that's a perfect song for. But when they got rid of Tommy DeVito, the founder of the Four Seasons, and Alfred wrote this song, and Joe Pesci and Alfred went to Frankie Valli. They all grew up together. You know that they grew up together.
Yeah.
He went to Bob Gaudio, who begged for the job as the piano player and the songwriter, and back then everybody was begging for work, and now that they worth $100 million, here's a guy, Alfred, who grew up with all of them, and they wouldn't play the song. And if I played it, you would say, how could they not play this song? But Bob and Joe Peck and Frankie Valli, and I called him a lot of bad things yesterday, but and I'm not going to take it back because they're all true. How could he not go to Bob Gaudio and say, I grew up with this guy. He's a little bit down on his luck now because all he does is play music. I mean, he played music. He had Sullivan Show. He played Vegas. He played everything. But all them spots are gone now. Now he writes songs for a living. Here's a perfect song for you. This was back in the day when they were, after Sherry and Big Girls Don't Cry. And he wouldn't play it. How could Frankie Valli not grab him by the throat and say, I grew up with this guy. I grew up with this guy. We're going to sing. It's a good song. We're not going to sing it. We're going to sing it. They don't do that. They They just forget where they come from, and
Well, they get politically correct as to where they are at the time. There's an element of that too, I think.
well,
That once they've made it, they're afraid of offending anybody. There's an element of that, I think, which you get in the
Well,
horse business, are in it.
there's also an element of the guy that really called the shots was Bob Crew. It wasn't Bob Gaudio. Bob Gaudio used to co-write with Bob Crew, and Bob Crew was the main producer of that, and he made that group, just like he made Freddie Cannon with Palisades Park, and he made Diane Renee with the song "Blue Baby Blue." I'm as blue as blue can be. Bob Crew was the main guy there, and he was a nice guy. I knew Bob very well. He was gay, but which doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of gay guys and a lot of lesbian girls running around, but had the main say, and he probably nixed it. I don't think Bob Gaudio, who was a fellow Italian, would have definitely nixed it against all of us other Italians.
Trey, I wouldn't care if he was Italian, Chinese. He forgot where he came from. He forgot when Pesci brought him in and he begged for the job. He begged Tommy DeVito, who was the head of the Four Seasons. He begged him for the job. They forget them days when every one of them guys did whatever they had to do to get the nightclub owners, who were all mob guys back at the time, just to play. Now that they're all worth $100, $300 million, they forget where they came from. They forget. Now, I'm not saying that a guy like Joe Pesci or Frankie Valli should give everybody their personal cell number, but ain't it disgraceful when a guy like Al Natoli writes this song, and for him to get now, him and Joe Pesci grew up together. They played in the same band since they were kids. Now all of a sudden, they forget. How does what Al has to do to get in touch with Joe Pesci? He has to call Joe Pesci's assistant. How can that be? They got to be, no matter how famous you get, there has to be a handful of guys that you grew up with or that you're very close with that have your personal cell number. Right. And in my opinion, if that's not the case, if you make everybody go through your assistant, in my eyes, you're a scumbag. That's it. And that's what I called him last night. That's what he is. And that's what both of them are, because they got a million stories. I told a lot of them last night. And it's not nice. It's not nice. And I also mentioned that it happened to me one time. I had a kid from Canada, Gillis, his name was. He was the best groom I ever had. I told the story last night. He's the best groom I ever had. But in the middle of I think it was 82, I was doing really, really well. I had a lot of money. I was doing good. And this kid, it was the best groom I ever had. He would show up late maybe once a month, but every time he showed up late, it would be on a very important day when we were going to train the good horses and sets and everything else. So this one day, I get a hold of him and I says, Gillis, I says, you're the best groom I ever have. I don't want to let you go. I says, but every time you don't show up early, you really screw the whole thing up. And he says to me, he says, Larry, I get up 4 o'clock every morning. He says, sometimes I get a ride and sometimes I don't. I says, what are you talking about? And he says, well, I hitchhike here. I says, you live 20 miles from here. He says, well, the days I don't get a ride, if it's raining or snowing, I walk here. In my mind, because I was doing good for about 5 years at that time. I had 7 homes, 2 cars in every garage. I had girls I had everything. I forgot where I came from, where I was. And in my mind, everybody has a car. How the fuck could you not have a car? Well, naturally, I took him right there. We went to Glick Motors and I bought him a Cadillac. Right there. 5 minutes after he told me that. And that's what happened with these guys. They forgot where they came from.
I agree.
They used to beg for work. They would do. I could name 15 mob guys. Because back then, every mob guy owned a nightclub. And they would beg for work. They would beg. And now that they made it, the guys that they grew up with that were not as lucky, just as talented, but not as lucky, they just like put them out of their life. Like when I mentioned the fact that Juicy saved Joe Pesci's life and Frankie Valli's life 2 times. 2 times he saved both of their lives. Yeah, and when after he gets out of jail after 45 years, he runs into Pesci, who he saved his life twice, and Pesci says, all right, how you doing? How am I doing? I was in jail. I had hundreds of thousands in the street when I went to jail. It's all gone. I'm 90 years old. I have no social. How am I doing? He says, all right, give me a number. I'll send you some. This is the guy that saved my life, his life. You know what he sent him? $1,000. And Juicy was so excited. He called me up. He says, I just left Pesci. He took my address. He's going to send me. What do you think he's going to send me? And I says, look, in that world, because Pesci was with all them wise guys, growing up, he was with all them guys. And I says, in that world, a minimum 10,000. But the guy's worth 5, 6, 50, 60 million dollars. He should send you at least 100,000 in cash. Let you buy a car, all new gold. Nobody sent him $1,000. You know what I told Juicy? Send the check back. Tell him to stick it up his ass. Here's the 1,000.
Absolutely.
How do you do that? And that's what I gotta get.
I have an idea on that.
What?
You guys grew up close to New York, so you were almost there. If you were good at something. Where we grew up, well, as a guy years ago, it's not the end of the world, but you could see it from there. So, yeah, where us guys, Billy stayed the same. When I had Muscle Hill going on those big days, I loved when people came to see me. Matter of fact, I say to Liz, well, why didn't I call this friend or that friend or the other friend, tell them come and see me? But I said, gee, they should know that they could come and I'll give them, an open door to see the horse to that. But because we're kind of like that. But would that be a New York thing? Even though, yes, you were all relatively from the same neighborhood. Correct? Is that what it was?
Yeah, they all went to beautician school together. They all became barbers together. They all ran numbers for the mob guys together. They all went to jail together, except Frankie Valli. He was the one that ratted on everybody. And when he was 16, he got caught doing a robbery with all of them guys. He put them all in jail. And you know what Frankie Valli says to Juicy after he gets out of jail for 45 years? The guy who saved your life 2 times, because Frankie Valli had a reputation. He tried to pick up all the girls all the time. And he was fooling around with a couple of mob guys, girlfriends and associates and everything else, and they were going to kill him. Juicy saved him. Now the guy's 90 years old. He gets out of jail. His wife waited for him for 45 years. He gets out of jail, and instead of Frankie Valli saying, meet me tomorrow, I'm going to give you 50,000. The guy's worth almost $1 billion. I'll give you a couple of 100,000 in cash. Do whatever, you live out the rest of your life. You know what he says? He says, I really appreciate what you did to me before you went gay. I know you saved my life. I know this, I know that. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a job as my bodyguard. I'll give you $500 a week and travel all over the country. What are you fucking kidding me? Get the fuck out of here.
Couple of questions here.
45 years in jail. My wife waited for me for 45 years. I just got home, and you want me for $500 a fucking week
to be a bodyguard?
To be your bodyguard, because Juicy's still Juicy. Juicy. They went to a feast about a year ago. He got up to go to the men's room. A guy took his seat, and then he didn't even say nothing. That's my seat. And the guy says, "Well, there was nobody here," and that was it. He knocked the guy out in one shot. 90 years old. He's nobody to fool around. But how do you do that? How does the guy Frankie Valli, who's been defrauding the public for the last 20 years, lip syncing and piping and all the music, taking all the money? I mean, you're worth $900 million. You're 90 years old. You got 28 stents in you. Give some of it away. Make somebody. He helped nobody, not his own brother, not even his own mother. Now, how do you do that?
Larry. The funny thing is what you're saying now about Frankie. Joe Pesci and Frankie were overheard by someone. I don't know if you knew Eddie Capuano, but he used to run the music store in East Rutherford, Sweetest Sounds.
I know him.
You remember him? Yeah, yeah.
I know
Anyway,
him.
yeah, but anyway, he passed away now. But he was really a good guy, very close friend of mine. But he heard Joey telling Frankie, "You never fucking did nothing for any motherfucker. Now you want to get in." He wanted to get Frankie wanted Joey to get him into the movies, and Joey was yelling at him, "Are you kidding me, man? You never did anything for me or anybody, and now you want me to help you get in the movies?" You know, that's what Eddie overheard that conversation. And
Well,
he
that's
told
how
me,
Frankie Valli blew his relationship with Frank Sinatra, because just like everybody that asked Frankie Valli for a favor, not everybody, guys he grew up with, give me a break, give me a job, give me something.
right.
But he asked Frank Sinatra once they were in a plane together, and he says, "Frank, could you put me in one of your movies?" That was the end of the relationship between Sinatra and him. But it's okay for him to ask a superstar for a favor, but it's not all right for anybody else. Joe Long, you know Joe Long,
Yeah,
best left-hand guitar player in the world. He played with the Four Seasons for 15 years. In the best years they had, and they shut him out of Jersey Boys, and he had cancer at the time. Alfred Natoli, we all raised as much money as we could to hire a lawyer to try to fight him, because Frankie Valli was he just wouldn't give in. He wouldn't put him in.
no
And
kidding.
they wind up losing the law. How do you do that? How are you worth $800-900 million? A guy dying of cancer that was the key player in your band for 15 years, and you shut him out of 5% of whatever the jersey. How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, last night I really
He
went
wants more. They want more.
I got
Couple of questions here. Let me grab them.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Larry, I did live in Ontario. Larry, it says that you sound like you're pain free. How's your back? Somebody's asking.
Well, I went to the doctor the other day. The third specialist I went to that hooks you up with all these special things, and they notify the nerve I have two pinched nerves. My lower back, the lower disc are all crushed together, and there's nothing that they could do. And now it just becomes a matter of pain management. So whatever they have to do, I'm going to rule out operation, because I'm not going to get operated on.
No.
And I'm going to probably go with the epidural, whatever you call that. And when I just bought, in fact, I'm picking it up tomorrow. And this is what the surgeon said is the best thing for me at my age, when your spine is compressed and all the cartilage is gone, and the spaces and some of the discs are bulging disc and ruptured disc, and the hole where the nerve goes through is so narrow. He says and I bought it yesterday, that table, I forget what you call it. It's like a easel table, I don't know, but it makes you turn like upside down, and your natural body straightens out your spine, because all you need is a fraction of an inch space. So I bought one. I'm picking it up tomorrow, and that's what I'm going to be doing with whatever else the surgeon tells me to do, because the sciatica pain that I have, it's so bad. I had both my knees done at the same time. That was like nothing compared to the pain that I have going in my sciatica, down my right leg, and in my back. There's no relief at all. At least with my knees, if I sat down and put my knees still and took I was okay. With this, there's no relief at all. It's just terrible.
We're getting some criticism. They want us to get back to harness racing here.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's what they're saying. I don't know.
I don't blame him.
I'm not going to talk anymore. Talk about do whatever you want. I get on these rants and I get crazy, so I'm not saying nothing.
Larry, Ted Wing had a bad back, really bad, right? Poor Ted. And he suffered for years and years and years. He got one of those upside down machines, and I never heard him complain about his back after, ever.
That's what I'm picking it up tomorrow.
Yeah, it stretches your spine out. It's good. Yeah, I heard it's good.
All you need is like a fraction, maybe an eighth of an inch or 16th of an inch. Just spread it a little bit, so them two nerves are not pinched.
That's right. That's right.
Like knee spreaders, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
You're getting interference again. I am anyway.
I hear noise in the background. I don't know who it's from.
Nothing
Yeah,
on
It's not by
something in the
me.
back.
I hear like a radio on in the background or something.
Yeah.
Talking though.
I got
But
my
go ahead.
TV's
What
on, but
other?
I got is it gone?
It's gone now.
That was
Yeah.
me. I got
Right
I got the races on, but I had it on mute. But that's what I did the other night too. Come to think of it, I turned it off and it was fine. So sorry about
Oh,
that,
now
guys.
it's quiet. Now it's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
a little bit just now, but go ahead, Greg.
Mr. O'Donnell, without
sir.
naming names, any dangerous drivers at the Meadowlands? Thought I remember Campbell saying that one year. Thanks.
Was
Not
there any
really, right?
dangerous driving? Was there any
Yeah.
dangerous driving?
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
No.
Inexperienced drivers, yeah. That that Richie Silverman always comes to mind when he first started. They threw him right to the wolves, right? Racing all those good horses and stuff. But he overcame it, and I think we were all a little bit dangerous probably when we started. I mean, I know I got shit a few times from some of the better drivers, and not on purpose, just overreacting or not being patient.
Right.
I don't think there was any of them that were dangerous. I mean, Kenny Arula ran over me, almost cut me in two, but I didn't plan on it.
Where is he? Is he still around? Kenny Aiello?
I don't know.
Last I heard, he had Alzheimer's bad. Poor Kenny, right?
Really? Oh, that's too bad. He bought
Love
that
the
farm.
business.
He
Yeah,
bought a
nice-
farm
nice.
that I was on, that I used
Yeah.
to be on for a while with a couple of horses down
Yeah.
by 195, and I
Yeah,
almost
nice.
bought that place.
Yeah. Nice
Yeah.
place. He loved the business. He loved the business. Kenny.
Asked that if you over on the left-hand side, if you were going toward the shore, huh? Trade on 195. Right. That's where Ken. Yeah, I think it's
it
still
was.
there.
Yeah, yeah. He put
And
a
now
good house on
Tulo's.
that.
I'm going to give a plug here. Tony Alanya bought Tulo's, and they say it's for
that's
sale.
a couple of years ago.
I'm going to tell you what. It's the best training center I know of in America. I'm telling you, like he redid you got to see, he redid everything. And the track, because the track's on a little bit of swampy land, kind of like the Meadowlands is. So I was always saying that's probably why it held the water good. Oh, yeah.
It was good.
Quite a track there.
It was a good track. My
Well,
buddy Ronnie
Tony came along.
Turcotte
Tony
used
had
to
a
take care of
full-time
that.
What's that?
Ronnie Turcotte used to take care of that for the
used to take care of
Tulos. And the Tulos guys all used to deliver me oil at my houses. And we
Right.
So I knew the Tulos really well. But they wouldn't sell the farm when I was talking about buying it. I had a couple of guys that wanted to buy it with me. This is in the 70s. And they didn't want to sell it. But I could have got it pretty cheap then.
Well,
Did one
you
of the
could
boys
have even
race
Tony really put a lot into it. What were you say, Bill?
Did one of the Tulos race horses? One of the boys?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had a
remember
good
when I-
horse by our pro. His name was Incredible Aussie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was a good Armo Aussie, and he was good back in the later days of Garden State. Is when he was good then.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
That's what my buddy Bob Brennan used to own Garden State, and he used to own
What a
Creel.
shame, huh?
Yeah.
Did you ever
Bob
race
Brennan.
there, Trey?
No, actually, I never did.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Nice
Just
place.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I was there, but I never raced there. No.
Oh, and he had the crystal. Well, it was big. It was built like to hold the crowd like the Meadowlands, which, and then there was a lot of other issues with it and with him, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Brennan wanted to buy the Meadowlands too, but they wouldn't sell it to him because it was owned by the state, and he wanted to buy the Meadowlands too. He had more money than Jesus and his disciples. Bob, I don't know where he got. He's in the stock market business. He was in the dollars, penny stocks.
He was partners with Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah, he
train
was.
wreck she is.
Crazy Nancy, as Donald says. Crazy Nancy.
Yeah.
Gin and tonic. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, she hates Trump. Does she hate Trump? She thinks Trump is the worst president for our children. That's what she said. I don't know
Well,
where she
as
get
we
that
know,
from.
there's a lot of people that feel that way. You can't tell them any different. So, it
Yeah.
is what
No.
it is. It is what it is. Billy, Meadowlands, right? What was it like on the day to have all that crowd? It must have been nice. Or Roosevelt, because you drove in the heyday when there was actually people there.
Yeah. You know what? You kind of took it for granted because
Yeah.
everywhere we raced, Foxborough, Saratoga, Monticello, we go
was
down
all
there in
loaded.
summer, there'd be a big crowd. There was always crowds, right? You never thought
Yeah.
that until you went to Garden State and went, where did all the people go?
Sydney,
Right?
Sackville Downs, you're right. Now they think
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to say it was America's largest growing sport, or fastest growing sport.
Was the
The
biggest. It was
crowds
the
everywhere.
biggest spectator sport in America at one time, right? There were so many racetracks,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
every you go to Louisville Downs. I mean, the place would be packed. You go to Lexington, during the Grand Circuit, every place was packed. Scioto, they had lots of people, but then all of a sudden one day we looked around and they were gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ocean City.
Well, the
Ocean
Meadowlands
City.
Yeah, there you
What's
go.
that?
There's another place.
Yeah, Ocean City,
Ocean
Maryland.
City.
Yeah.
I was down.
Yeah.
I went down there one time.
What
Rosecroft was.
What a great
That was
place.
a short. It was a short meet. Rosecroft in the spring. They had two meets, one spring and the fall, 6 weeks, and we were closed in New England. And Ted Leonard was race secretary at both places, so he'd ask us to go down there. That's where I got started. I won my first race there, and that was great. Great place to race. Great fun. A bunch of young horses, all kinds of late closers, and that was a good place. And they had big stables there, but Houghton had a stable there. Frank Stafford was there. There was a lot of big stables there in those days.
Bobby Cherrick's, I knew. Bobby Cherrick's had a stable there too. Yeah.
I drove a horse. He thought I was a driver. I think he was there. His guy broke his ankle, Vic White, and he came down to race on a Saturday. It was a stake race, and I was race travel boy, and I won with him that night. And when I come back, he was in the race, and I come back. He didn't know. I only drove 5-6 times, and he says, "Are you here all the time?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, my guy got hurt." He said, "Can we put you down and drive some horses?" So I said, "Sure." So anyway, I drove a couple horses for them, and so all the young guys that from New England that we all got licensed at the same time, they go, "How come you're getting drives and we're not?" And I said, "This guy thinks I'm a driver." This is Bob Jerry. So anyway, he had a stable in New York, and
because I'll say this. That if even today, when you talk the greatest drivers, Bill O'Donnell is mentioned in a lot of them. A lot of the
more than anybody.
No, but it's true. I'll give credit. It's an amazing thing because we think, that'll be all forgotten about. But I've said this on the show 100 times. Campbell and O'Donnell were the biggest brand harness ever had. Now, somebody tried to tell me Stanley Dancer then. No. I know Stanley Dancer was on TV and stuff like that, but Campbell and O'Donnell and the Meadowlands was huge. Huge.
Well, it was different for us because they raced their own horses, so they didn't drive 10 or 12 races a night like John and I did. Right.
Yeah.
So that would be the difference. And you're talking to a bunch of gamblers too, right? That I know one guy said that he bet every horse I raced, and John too, like his buddy. They both did the same thing. Bet whatever it was, $20 on every horse we raced, and they would double up when we would lose. And by the end of the year, one guy made 40,000, the other guy made 80. Like just doing that, just betting on me and John. They were real gamblers, those guys, right? And he said took all the guesswork out of the handicap.
I got another question for you, Billy, from Roy Lindlar. Bill, my experiences at the Meadowlands, I remember a horse that became my favorite, Meadow Blue Chip. Kenneth, not good horse, good driver. Your opinion? I was only a fan.
Kenny, I never knew Kenny much. He was there a little bit in the winter, and he'd only had 4 or 5 horses across from me, and he wouldn't race much in the winter. And then when Liberty Bell or Brandywine would open up, he'd always go back down there in the winter. So I know Kenny after that. Truro. He was from Truro.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Him and Lofty. Yeah, him and Lofty Bruce grew up together. Yeah. So he said he used to. Lofty was a pretty good hockey player, but he wasn't the bravest guy in the world on the ice and big guy. And Kenny used to pre-race him with B12 before he'd go play hockey.
Really?
Give him a little courage. Yeah. So
I always
but
use
Somebody
B12.
asked you this question.
Yeah.
Do you think Niatross reached its full potential under Clint Galbraith? No.
How could he do anything
What do
better?
you think?
I mean, right? How could he do anything better? He fell over the hub rail, so that you had to throw that race down. The next time he raced, he hit the bike and made a break, and then he was parked the whole way and got tired and finished 4th. But then the next week in the Meadowlands Space, I mean, he just completely obliterated them, right? And went on to win every race after that. So he was what do you have 33 out of 35 starts he won or something, right?
Yeah.
So you could say the same thing
And it
about
was
Annihilator. Annihilator won 35 out of 38, but I was the only guy that got him beat 3 times. So out and raced him the first 8 times, right?
How about Clint Galbraith? Is he still around?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. They're still living over in Scottsville, and they have an apartment there. Mark Ford a year ago was driving up to Canada here, so it's right on the way on the thruway. So he said, I think I'll stop and just go over to the old farm, right? He worked for Clint. And he went over and he said, there's a guy walking on the road. And he said, geez, I drive by him with Jesus, Clint. Clint was going for a walk. So he stopped and put him in the truck and drove him back home and had a visit with him. So that was, I think, a year or 2 ago now. But yeah. He was a workhorse, man. Yeah. Hey? Yeah.
Well, and then he wouldn't sell horses. No, that was his. He had too many and he wouldn't sell them, right?
Oh.
That was the problem.
I remember when Niatross won the Messenger. They were in the driver's room after, just in a start pouring rain right after that racing. So they were interviewing Clint and Barbara, and they asked Clint, how many horses do you have? And Clint said, I don't know, Barb, how many? We got 535 horses.
Oh,
They
my
had
God.
They had more horses than Hanover Shoe Farm and Land Bell probably put together.
Really? Yeah.
That's right.
They had the biggest barn under one roof in New York State. It held 140 horses.
Wow.
Gosh.
He was quite a guy. He was a workhorse too, boy. I mean, he worked and he could do anything. He could shoe, he could make bits, he could do anything, Clint. And loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Yeah. I always said
Looking
about
for
Clint.
another one.
I used to say, I'll tell you a funny Clint story. He was racing at the Meadowlands. The horses weren't that good. And anyway, he'd race 3 or 4 a night, and he'd go, let's go for a drink. So we go to the bottom of the barrel, and after one drink, he was like a brand new man. Like he was, everything was brand new to him. So I said to him one night, I said, you know, Clint, you're the most optimistic guy I've ever met in my life. He said, why? I said, every night when you're done racing, you put that hairbrush in your pocket and you go into the bathroom. You had no hair when you got here, and you got none when you're going in that bathroom. So I don't know if he thought he grew something through the night or not. But yeah,
That's
he was
funny.
bald.
That's funny. That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
And how about Ray Remen? Anybody see Ray Remen anymore? So he's a nice guy.
I talked to him. He,
yeah?
no, Earl Cruz. You know, Earl. He's around Jersey there too. And he called me the other day, and he was going to meet them on Wednesday. They meet every day at Reds. Or every Wednesday at Reds. Larry comes back. He lives out in Western Jersey, and he comes and they meet once a week for lunch. A bunch of them there at Reds.
Up to the Meadowlands?
Yeah.
On a certain day or
Every Wednesday. Yeah.
every Wednesday?
That's Larry Remen, though. You're talking about Larry.
Yeah, Larry's
Talking about
brother.
Ray.
Larry, Ray, Earl.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
Larry ran.
Ray lives. Yeah, Ray lives right up the street, right from the Meadowlands, and Larry lives out in Western Jersey, where their grandkids. One of the granddaughters moved out there, so they bought a place out there. And I think Doreen's retired, and Ray he spends his time there. And Gordy's up here. The other brother, Gordy, he's up here with us. He just lives down the road here.
Larry,
Yeah.
Manny's appeared. Yeah, he was almost won. Was he second? I forget. I looked. Manny had a horse racing, I think Tuesday night, wasn't it? No, well, I forget what it was. But in there. What else? Wait now, Billy. A few people told me Clint Galbraith was not a nice guy to be around.
Really? Not to me.
Yeah, I didn't think.
Not to me.
Yeah, whenever I talked to him, yeah, it was good. But now he was. I came along, in 1990, so he was at the Meadowlands the odd time. He had a string there for a while when they were still stable there too.
Oh
now,
yeah,
I think
he didn't go to Florida. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he brought the first time he didn't go to Florida, and I think he said maybe 30 years or something. He came to Meadowlands with about 60 horses, and they trained there. That was the coldest winter I think we ever had, probably in Jersey. I only had a couple horses there, and I'd go up the track and kind of help him out a little bit some days for training and stuff.
How old is he now? How old is Clint now?
Well, he would be. He and Buddy Gilmore were about the same age, so I think Buddy would have been 86 or 87 now, probably.
Really?
So
Yeah.
I think,
Wow.
Yeah. Or even older,
Yeah,
maybe.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I remember driving up to Canada with Turcotte, with Ronnie Turcotte. We were going up to check out a couple of horses. This is a number of years ago, and he pointed. He says, right over there, about 2 miles from here's a bingo hall that Buddy Gilmore. He was very close to Buddy too. He's calling the numbers at this bingo hall. It's a shame.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. Oh, he's a good guy. Yeah, good guy. Now Muffy Turcotte, Mel, I see he's still on Facebook with his wife and a daughter, granddaughter, maybe. I don't know and he's always making comments. I guess he's still alive, Mel, right?
Ronnie's Junior is, but not Ronnie Senior.
No, this is Mel, his brother, one of his brothers.
Mel, I met Mel, but I didn't ever see him on Facebook. He is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see him on there. I know he raced in Ohio most of the time, right?
They had a bunch of brothers. There was a lot of brothers.
Yeah, big family. There was 9 or 10 of them, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So
Leslie is 88. Somebody just said. They must have
really?
Yeah. So Leslie Turcotte and Eldon, they live around here, right around Ontario here somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Big family, huh?
Yeah, they were.
Big family. Yeah. There was a bunch of them. Yeah.
Were they originally from Quebec, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
they
went down and worked for Hervé, right? He raced horses. Yeah, he did. Yeah. There was what was his name? The other one. He died out west. I think he was here for a while. Theo. That was Junior. Theo. That was the old man's name, Theo. And Theo,
I didn't know.
he was.
Yeah.
He and Eldon were together here. Yeah. And Leslie, all three.
Marie, we see here in the summer, she's married to Paul DuPont. Very nice.
Yeah.
Cruise now, I see. If they're watching us, they go on cruises. I hope they're having a good time. I'm sure they are. They would have gone. But,
I think
nice guy. What?
She was just on there. She was on Facebook the other day getting on a boat. They were going on another cruise.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We're getting a little bit of the sound again somehow.
Not here.
Not here.
I don't hear it here either.
No.
I don't get it. I don't hear it. Do you guys?
No,
I don't.
No.
I hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
to be you, Gregory.
Not me.
I'm hearing noise. I'm hearing like talking in the background.
It's like a race, maybe.
Like
No,
it's a
I
party
shut
or
up.
something. Yeah.
It
Look,
might have something to do with them earphones you have on, Trey.
I don't think so. Maybe it is, but you want me to cut it off? I'm gonna cut off. Let's see.
There, the noise went away. No, it didn't.
Plug them back in, Trey.
no, my phone is off. It's
Yeah,
not
mine
that.
too. Yeah, my TV, phone, nothing's on. Kathy's phone upstairs, I think. She's in the office.
It must be the aliens. It must be the aliens. They're coming down here to start to race horses. The extraterrestrials. They're coming down
Probably.
to race horses. That's what they're gonna do.
Probably Trump's got you plugged in here, Trey.
Boy.
We were talking earlier, Trey.
Yeah,
Not in Hollywood, but they got approval for a meet in California for fall 26 into 27. What they say, 38 days in Fresno. 38. I think it's 38, whatever, in Fresno, which is, they said, about 170 miles south of Cal Expo and 4 hours north of LA. So it's not in a great spot, but maybe they'll get a simulcast crowd because of the time zone change. They used to. I know that. I think if they had, if they could get decent fields, and that the people with the time zone, they'll bet them a little bit, huh?
Well, they closed a bunch of thoroughbred tracks out there too, right? The last couple of years in California, the ones in the northern ones, right? Bay Meadows, and they've been gone for a while.
Well, yeah. Pomona, now that's a fair too. I think they still race there, don't they?
That's only a 5/8 mile track, though, right?
Is that near LA too, Pomona?
Yeah.
That's
It's the foggiest place in California.
Really?
They had a couple standardbred years they raced there.
I didn't. I used to. It's been quite a few years.
Yeah.
Mary, what chased? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think they raced their dates at Los Alamitos now.
Where they're saying, Larry, what chased Mr. Kadish out of the business was not getting Roosevelt and dealing with Charlie Karp, Davey Handel, and George Kleinman. They were all swindlers. I didn't even know that.
I can only tell you what Kadish told me. Kadish was very, very mad at me, along with Aaron Wagman, because when they barred me from racing because I wouldn't give up them 4 guys up in Monticello, Kadish and Aaron told me they would put up the money. They'd put up $1 million. They wanted me to give each guy $250,000 because they were Monticello guys, except for one of them. They were born up there. They were never doing well. And the $200,000, $250,000 was going to be more money that they were going to make for the rest of their lives raising horses in Monticello. But I refused to do it. So Kadish got very.
It's an echo now, by the way.
What's that?
It's an echo from you. When you say, "What's that?"
Yeah, what's that? Well, I don't know. I don't have anything. I don't have anything on.
You heard a little echo? Yes.
No.
So anyway,
No,
Kadish said to me, I says, no, I'm not gonna tell on these guys, and I just can't do it. And they all got very mad at me. But Kadish says, look, give my horses to whoever you want. I'll stay in the business, and if you win, because I fought them, and it said if you win, I'll stay in the business if I lose. So when I lost my final appeal, Kadish called me up, and his words were these exact words. I think. He says, I stayed in the business for 3 years. Uh, I listened to Teddy Wing because in the beginning I gave the horses to Billy. Billy gave him the Teddy Wing, and and Katie says every year whatever he asked me to stake, I staked. I paid whatever it was. I never questioned anything. He says, and the only good horse I ever had, he told me not to stake. He says, now that you lost your appeal, I'm all done. And he got out of the business. Now that's what he told me. I don't know. But that's the story he told me. He said he was getting out when I lost my final appeal, and that was it.
You know,
I don't know.
you know,
I don't even.
I saw him the last time I saw Mr. Katie's was at when he dispersed everything at the Meadowlands, and so I said to him, "Geez, you've lost a lot of money." I mean, he bought 110 yearlings in 2 years. 110. Can you imagine one person? And trained them all. Like you said, staked them all up, sent them all over the country to train. And he said, it wasn't the money. He said, I just got sick of losing, Bill. I just got tired of losing. So he had one horse left, or he had two. What Judge Choice, I bought her as a broodmare. And Charlie Carp was the agent. And I went over to the farm and I bought her. And he had one horse left, one horse. He was out in the field. He said, why don't you buy that colt out there? He said, he's a 2-year-old. He hasn't even been broke yet. He said, so he's by skip by night. So I go up and look at him. He kind of stood kind of off a little bit. And he's a 2-year-old. Well, it's in March or April. Who the heck wants to break a colt and start with him then, right? So I said, what do you want for him? He said, 10,000. I said, nah, I don't really want him. He said, tell you what, give me 6,000 for him. And I said, no. It was Laurel Ann Butler. He made $1 million. And he told Austin Hope, and Austin, Larry, he trained for him there and looked after the farm. Yeah. And he told Austin, he said, he started training the colt all by himself there, that colt too, and got him ready. And Larry said, the first time I see a veterinarian driving up that driveway, you're done. That horse never, the only needle he ever had in him his whole life was Lasix when he was 8 or 9 years old. That was it. I remember him racing him at the Meadowlands and he was off a little bit. And Austin said, well, I guess they give him some time off. He said, I'm not allowed to inject him. And he did. He gave him a couple of months off and back he came again. What a good horse he was. Very good horse. I bought the mother, his dam, and I sold her. I bred her to, I don't know what horse I had, a share of Justin Passon. I bred her to Justin Passon and then sold her. She was a BG's bunny mare. Yeah, Butler BG was the only one. You're right. The best horse he had, and he had no stakes, only the sire stakes. That was it.
Yeah. He told me basically the same thing. I'm just tired of losing. I waited, so I don't know how much longer we stayed in after that, but he gave me opportunities outside of the horse business in the real world that I never took advantage of. I turned them down every time. Had I taken any one of his advices, I would have been a very, very wealthy guy today. He's a billionaire. We used to sit at the racetrack at Pompano. We used to be together every day at Pompano. I would take him look for properties to build Kmart's on and build all. He was property free. So anyway, every night at the racetrack, he would take out this little black book that he had, and he'd look through it. And one night I said to him, every night you do the same thing. What are you looking for in there? And he says, by this time next year, I will have all of these properties paid off. I will own them all. And that's what's good. That's what made him a billionaire. But he gave me opportunities for free. Pay 10% of this Orange Grove. He bought the largest Orange Grove in Ocala, I think it was. He says, take a piece of this, drive me around, look for properties. I'll give you 1% of whatever rent I get for every Kmart that we put on the. I didn't take advantage of none of them because I didn't want to be owned by him because there was like a battle between him and Andy Beleza and Aaron Wagman and Alan August. They all wanted to be like your best friend. All I wanted to go was do my work, go out, listen to music, and just do what I wanted to do. I didn't want to hang out with these guys, but I hung out with Kadish the most, and I never took it back. Alan August offered me 10%. He says, "Don't put up no money." He was developed a lot of the land that in Boca Raton, Florida, where they were building all of these developments. And I didn't. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't say nothing. I didn't want to get that close to anybody. I wanted to do what I wanted to do because Kadish even got mad at me that time when I called him up and I asked him. I said, Kadish, I said, send me 300,000. He says, for what? For that stupid house you're building there? He says, I'm building a mansion for you on the farm. I have all the plans and everything. He says, I says, yeah, Larry, I'm building an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a big jacuzzi. I'm having special windows put in, special tile on the thing. You're going to send me the money or not? And he said, no. And that's when I got decent loan to get a street. So I sent all his horses from up and out to his farm. And they called me up because there's not enough stalls, there's not enough room. And I was so mad. And I said, well, he has a big, just put them all in the back. And Kadish called me up and says, I got horses running down Hempstead Turnpike. They're all over the place and everything else. And I told him, and this is how stupid I was. I told him, I says, look, if you want me to be your puppet, send me a check for 100,000 every month and put on the memo column. But until then, I'm gonna do my job. And I guess I'm doing a pretty good job because all the abuse that you take from me. And I told him, I says, I'm not Paul Appel. I says, you got to remember that. Other than that one little incident that we had, I got along with him great. He really, really liked me a lot. He liked me so much that after I lost all my cases, I was involved with a good friend of mine, and we needed $300 million. And I called him up, and I says, Larry, I says, I need a favor. I need $300 million. And I told him what it was for. And he says, Larry, if I didn't just sign all the business over to my two sons, he says, I would give it you. But that deal that you're talking about is too long-term and too big for them at this point. I says, okay, no problem. So we got along good. I'm just sorry that I acted like I was such a jerk. And that's my advice to everybody out there. You get opportunities, you got to take advantage of the opportunities. I didn't realize. I thought that
Joe Garino.
No. I thought that period of
Joe
time.
Garino just talked about claiming.
What?
He's froze.
I'm getting the audio problem with Larry.
There you go.
What about Joe Garino?
Still getting it? He signed on and said he claimed Lori Land Lady. I think he said. We say, I claimed Lori Land's full sister for 4,000. Ended up being the Open Fillies and Mares. Her name was Lori Land Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi Sundance says hi. It says hey Billy, traded Greg and Larry.
Well, you talk about Katie. Katie offered me and Ted Wing a mall. He said, Ted was staying there at the house with me there at the cottage, and we're in there one day. He said, "You guys know Maine pretty good, right?" Yeah, okay. I got a Kmart, the mall. He didn't own the Kmart stores. He owned the malls themselves and rented the Kmart. And it was right outside of the stable gate at Scarborough. He said, "I'll sell it to you. Give me 10% down, and I'll finance it for 2.1 million or 2.2 million." So anyway, on the way home, I said to Ted, "What do you think?" He said, "I don't know." Well, anyway, we didn't do it. So I told Donnie Richards that story. So Donnie said, "Oh, good move, Bill." He said, "It sold for 2.2, then it sold for 5, then it sold for 10, and it just sold for 20." So there was an opportunity right there. So it wasn't like he was trying to get rid of anything to scam you. But he owned, like you said, he had 90 different properties, right? That's what he had. All the books he had at the office when he moved to the farm. He had all the corporation books for each one of those were a corporation by themselves. But he was, he started known as, you know what he was? A TV repairman, eh, Larry? That's what he started known as.
He started out. I asked him
Really?
how'd you start? He was a TV repairman working for a store like Zayre's or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of them big
Yeah.
stores. And then he bought his first piece of property, and now he owns high rises in Manhattan.
Yeah.
He owns all the properties that all the Kmart's are on.
And the biggest contributor to the Republican Jewish caucus.
Right.
Yeah.
Named like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Hebrew, I think they actually call it the Hebrew caucus, I think. Larry, how did you end up with the horses for Kadish?
I'll tell you the story really, really quick because it's a long story. He used to stay at Cush's Hotel every summer, and I was racing in Monticello, and I was going out with a girl, Aura, at the time, and Ronnie Fawcett worked for me, and he lived with me because he went broke training horses. So I gave him a job. He had no place to live. He had no money, so I lived. He lived with me. I eventually bought him a trailer right across the way. But him and Aura became very good friends. They went to the track one night, and they're sitting in the grandstands, and the post parade comes out. The first horse is a horse called Chocolate Candy. So they're sitting behind two gentlemen, and one of them was Kadish. And Kadish says to the guy he's with, he says, "Jesus, it's my wife's birthday tomorrow. She has everything. I don't know what to get her, but she loves chocolate candy. I wish I knew how to buy that horse chocolate candy." So Joyce, Ronnie Fawcett's wife, is sitting with Aura. He says she says, "My husband's a trainer. You could buy it." So that hookup met. They met the next morning. He came to the barn, and Ronnie worked for me. They met the next morning, and then Ronnie come to me that afternoon, and he says, "Larry," he says, I have a blank check." He says, "I'm going to have to quit because this guy, Larry Kadish, gave me a blank check to buy whatever I want. He wants to get into the horse business." And he says, "Make it out for whatever I want." I says, "Good for you. Do whatever you want to do." And he left. And what he did do was something stupid. He went to New Zealand, and he come back with 10 of the worst New Zealand horses. It was terrible. Anyway, he couldn't. I got him stalls in the tin barns up in Monticello, and every day he would. And I had barn A, so the training track was right there. And every day I'd see him out there with these big orangutans, running, jumping, galloping, and everything. And he had it for about a month. And finally, one day, he came to me, and he says, "Larry, you help me." I went up to his barn every morning, and we took one horse at a time. And what he did was, the first mistake he made is he didn't buy the equipment with the horses, because these horses had heads as big as milk cartons. I mean, they were gigantic. And so anyway, one by one, I straightened them all out. Another mistake he made, he cut their feet down to the blood. I mean, they were big New Zealand horses. He cut every one had like 3.5-inch toes where they should be 4.5-inch toes. So I had special shoes made up with extensions on them, all that. Make a long story short, and Kadish would sit at the barn every day. Just never said a word. He never introduced himself. Ronnie never introduced. But every day, and finally, after maybe about 2-3 weeks, I straightened every horse out. I got every horse qualified for him. And that was that. I get a phone call from Milton Kutcher, and he says, "What are you doing for lunch?" And I says, "What do you need?" He says, "Come to the hotel and have lunch with me." So I go to the hotel. I didn't know what he wanted. And who's at this table? Is Larry Kadish. And he says, he introduced me, and he says, "Mr. Kadish wants to get into the horse business in a very big way, and he realized that he's not with the right person, and he'd like you to take his horses." And I says, well, that's very flattering, but I can't do that. And he says, well, lift your plate up. I lift the plate up, and there's a blank check signed. And he says, you can make, Katie's never said a word. You can make that out for any amount you want. It makes no difference. 100,000, $1 million, whatever you want. He just wants to switch, wants to take over by whatever you want. I says, I can't do that. Then Kadish stepped in. He says, why can't you do it? And I said, because the guy, he just had a baby. They just had the baby, Dennis Fawcett. He just had a baby. They just got married. They just got a trailer. I says, I can't do it. He'll be okay. Keep the horses with him. And if he ever has a problem, I can help him. And he says to me, you're a very foolish man. He says, the horses are going to believe him. You're very foolish if you don't take it, because I could make you a very successful, wealthy guy. And I says, well, I'm not taking the horses. He says, they're going to go to somebody else. Sure enough, he went to 4 or 5 trainers. He went all from Henry Fillion to McGee to Chapman to all of them. And finally one day he came. He called me up.
I'm still here. Just they got to make a stop here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So one day he calls me up. I'm in Buffalo, and he calls me up and he says, listen, would you at least take one horse? This way I can get passes and I have a reason to go to the track. I stay in Florida the whole winter. So he had Paul Appel was training him at the time. And he told Paul to send me down one of the horses. The first horse he sends me down, it's amazing how I remember the name. The horse called Adios Dewey. His name was Adios Dewey. And he had really bad outside. His 2 front ankles were as big as bowling balls. And I told Katie when he come to the barn, I says, what do you think he was going to send me? The horse couldn't walk. What do you think he was going to send me? Anyway, what happened with that horse was I gave him the D Macedonia, and I told her, I says, get up in the morning, just take him down to the ocean, walk him in the ocean, and this and that. When you come back, and then it was getting better and better and better and sounder. And the ankles went down a little bit, even though it was all calcified. And then I made my brother get down to the ocean, fill up these 55-gallon drums of salt water, and I covered him in salt water. And we never took him to the track. The wind-up was after we got really freshened up and sounder and everything. I think I won every race with him in Monaco. And then the meet ended, and he called me up. He took the horses away from Paul. We gave him the Chapman. And he calls me up one day and he says, Larry, you got to do me a big favor. Chapman died this morning. You got to take my horses. And I took him. And that's how I won that.
Yeah.
So
it was that same year, Larry. I went to first year I was at Roosevelt. I only had 4 or 5 horses, and I was stabled with Buddy Reagan. Gave me some stalls. They didn't give me stalls, and he gave me some stalls. And Davey Handel comes over one morning, introduced himself, and said, "Mr. Cadiz wants to meet you." So we went over to the farm, and I sat there, and he said, and he had horses with Billy Herman, Mel had a couple for him. He had 4 or 5. You had a bunch up, which I didn't know at the time at Monticello. And he said, I need a trainer. And there was a whole bunch of horses. There was about 20-some horses on the field there. So I hired Angie Allen, and we went through all those horses. I gave a bunch of them to Lou Miller. They were all lame horses that they'd had there for a long time. Gave a bunch to Lou Miller for the school. I sold 8 to Forrest Gary for 50,000 cash. He bought 8 of them. And we just started going along there. And then you were sending down the old Trotter and Gay Schnell, and they were ready to go, boy, in New York. So that's how I get hooked up with them. And then that fall, I wanted to go back to the Meadowlands, so I just recommended Teddy take his horses.
And on that note, PM says, Billy, you're 100% right about Mr. Kadish. He never ever saw Lori Land Butler race one time. That's how mad he was at the business and would never let us stake him there. And there were times when he was unbeatable. That's interesting.
Oh, absolutely. He was, I never saw the horse until I saw his name, and then I knew because I had the mother. And then Austin would bring him over to the Meadowlands, or we'd go over there in the fall, and he'd be racing. What a good horse! Gary Moser raced him most of the time for him, all the time in New York, and he'd even come over and race him at the Meadowlands. So he was a good horse, very good. And raced till I think he was about 8 or 9 when he finally had to put him on Lasix, right? You got bleeding on him. That's the only thing Larry would allow him to. Yeah, he was skipped by night at a judge's choice. Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, he didn't look at all like Skip by Night.
He looked like his mother. She was a big, good-looking Bee Gees bunny mare that had a little bit of ability, and I think she broke a sesamoid or something. They just bred her and had like the one that Joey just said there, the Loriland lady, and then I sold her. I think she went to Quebec, I think. I sold her in a sale in full to Justin Passon. And that's the last horse he had, I think.
That was it.
And honestly, great owner. I don't know the real reason he left. I guess if he would have had a little success, probably.
Yeah. The audio is too bad, Larry. I can't hear.
Yeah, I know. I don't know who it is. I think it's Billy.
I think that's what they think.
Because now it's stopped. Now it's nothing. But we lost. Oh, there's Billy. Oh, there's Billy now.
Now it stopped.
Yeah. So whatever it is, it's on Billy's end.
Well, I was on mute there. When I put it on mute, it goes away.
Okay, it's perfect now. It's perfect now. But harness racing lost a good owner, and I don't know the real reason he left. I'm sure it wasn't that if I didn't get back my license. I don't think it was that. That's what he told me. But I think what Billy says, that what Katie said to him is the reason. He said to Billy, because Billy just said it, I'm just tired of losing. And that's probably the reason. It's tough when a guy become a self-made billionaire back then in the 70s and 80s, and then he's in the game and he just can't win. What really bugged him was the time, and I guess this is true. He says, all the horses I bought, all the money I spent in stake payments, my best horse, they told me not to stake them. And that really rubbed him wrong. But I don't know if that's the reason.
PM at the time he said, Ron Pierce said that Loriland Butler was his favorite horse of all time. We're going to have Ron on here 2 weeks from tonight. So we'll have we really got to get the sound working by then. We'll have Ron. Yeah.
I hope his hunting season is over. He must be waiting for hunting season to be over, right?
No, it is, but he wouldn't come on this third. I said it. No, wait till he says must be something with the hunting season because he might have to drag the buck back in the house. I don't know what it was. So he couldn't do Thursday nights in November because of the hunting.
Well, he said he got the elk. He got his elk. He got his meat for the winter, so he's in good shape. Yeah. He says.
Okay. Because Hervé used to say anything you want to know about the wild. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. I remember when I told your dad that time, Greg, we were going to Garden State and we stopped and had something to eat. And we was talking about Pierce had been doing very good. And he said, I hear he's pretty crazy. He's pretty crazy. And I said, yes, he is. He's crazy like a fox is what he is.
Yeah. Bill was very, very, he knew Ron was good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he claims he learned by following you, is what he claims.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Ron is a lifelong friend of mine. Like I can remember him when I first came here and we just got to be friends. Yeah. And then he drove for me some. Well, as we discussed, historically, he was the first man ever listed to drive Muscle Hill, but he had to go to the qualifiers with for Tactor, and you wouldn't know on the day anyway. But that's how he ended up not on Muscle Hill.
Yeah.
Because he was driving. I guess he probably drove Lady Magdalene toward the end of the year before the Sears picked off her. I think toward the end of the year. But he'll be on, and we'll have a good time. I'm just checking any other questions. I asked Larry a little while ago, Fox, about something about the horse dying and Bobby Baggers or something. I'm just trying to get a handle on that to see if we could find out what it was. Because they say Larry's already talked about, this hood that is going to prevent on-track deaths, correct, Larry? That's what it's going to do.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to if this thing goes, there'll be no more deaths because of heat stroke or AFib or heat exhaustion or anything to do with the core temperature of a horse rising above 104, 105.
As you say, it'll cap the temperature. Now they can still break a leg and die.
Yeah, it really won't happen. You can't stop the temperature. It's a natural progression that happens in a racehorse. Thoroughbred we're talking about now, and I'm sure standardbred too. Within a minute and a half, the core temperature goes from the natural temperature of 100 degrees to 104 or 105 in less than a minute. And just from the heat that the body creates, that the muscles create, just from the heartbeat goes to 100, 240 to 95 gallons of blood gets pumped all within a minute. So a tremendous amount of heat builds up. And what I could do with this, I've been working with the scientists for a while. We created a heat absorbing gel that it won't stop it from happening. It will slow the process down. So in other words, if it won't reach, say a horse is a bit dehydrated and the temperature is 80 degrees and the humidity is 80 degrees, that's basically a dead sentence for a horse that's not completely hydrated. Then you add the fact that you can place things besides that. The horses are in terrible, terrible shape, and then you add the fact that maybe they have a set of blinkers on that's black that will absorb 99% of the heat from the sun. You put all of that together, and that's the reason these horses are dropping. So 1,000 horses a year are dropping because of that. And I have the film and I have the races where to show all of that.
They could be an invention as good as the nasal strips.
Well, listen,
better probably. I think that would be better than the nasal strips.
Oh yeah.
Because the nasal strips people are so on, and they claim this, but they won't allow it. If you really wanted something to be done in the nasal area, you'd put the bull rings on them, tie them, like we could in the old days. They claim that's better than the nasal strips, but
well, in the old days, they used to cut that whole false nostril out, that whole thing out, right to the nasal cavity, so it couldn't collapse. And some of them actually stitched it open, but now they come with the nasal strip. I invented the nasal strip, and that veterinarian in Florida, because I was going to 3P, the company 3P that makes all the glues and everything. I was going there, and we were trying to perfect the glue that would stay on thinnest skin on the horse, right where that goes, that when you pull it off, it wouldn't rip the skin off with it, but it would stay on even though, and it was a tough thing. So I kept going back and forth with them, but then I ran out of money. And I asked the vet to go partners with me, and I showed him everything I did, and he took over. And then I left Pompano, and I come back to Monticello, and next thing I know, the nasal strip is out, and I tried contacting the veterinarian. I couldn't reach him, and I just let it drop. I just let it go. It was my fault. I didn't protect myself. That's why I never start talking about this thing until after I got it patented. So now that whole process is patented. I'm the only one in the whole country that has a gel that's not water-based, that's heat absorbing. And now the biggest problem I ran into, and this just happened 2 days ago, I couldn't get nobody because the gel has to be placed right over the brain. The brain is as big as your fist. It weighs a pound and a half, and it's right between the ears, down a little bit on the forehead. And for it to work, it has to be stationary right there. It has to be on it. The only way to keep it on it is with some kind of set of blinkers that have a sleeve inside where the gel goes. So I created the blinkers and everything, and then I tried to get them produced, and it was all the blinkers that are made, except for two companies in the United States. They're all made in China. So I contacted the one company, and ladies make jockey. They make all the famous jockey silks and everything, and they use that 80% nylon, 20% spandex, four-way stretch blinker for me with the sleeve inside, and I ordered them, and I asked for four of them, and they made them everything I asked them to make the ears, the holes for the ears, a half inch further apart, so it stays 4 inches in between the ears. That's where the sleeve goes. And so they did. When I called them up and I says, okay, look, this thing, I'm basically ready to roll, and I need hundreds of thousands of these things. And they says, look, we did you a favor by making a custom blinker for you. Where there's only two of us, we can't fulfill the order and everything else. I called up China and I called up Taiwan, all the agents for them. The minimum order is 100,000. They want the money up front, and then I wanted a special. I wanted a special material. This is the material here. It's not sanctioned by this company right there. I don't want that material because all the material that all these hoods are made out of, like, they're made, they're dyed, and they have 15 toxic material that comes from the dye and everything else that can be toxic to a horse. So I says, so the bottom line is this: that's why I want that girl. I'm creating my own set of blinkers. I'm going to get them certified material. This way, there's no problem at all. They're going to be, and that's why I wanted the girl near my house, because it's going to be trial and error until I get exactly what I want. The other thing I got to figure out is I'm not going to get a four-way stretch material. I'm going to get a two-way stretch material and hope that it stretches enough where I don't have to go small, medium, and large, because that's going to be a pain in the ass. Bad enough the blinkers, no blinkers, but that's what, because I can't get them made, so I got to create my own company. So now I'll have the only gel, and I have it patented already, even though nobody. It took the scientists months and months and months, and we're still experimenting them to make it better, to create this. And now I'm going to create my own hood. It's going to be white, which will ricochet 99% of the UV rays from the sun, where black or any other color absorbs it. And so it's going to be totally unique in every way. And then after I get this done with this girl and it works out, I will meet with Heisa, and then I'm gonna need a big investor, which I have 2 or 3 to find, because we're probably gonna have to set up a major factory and start our own major company. Not only with the gel, but the gel is gonna be the blinkers are gonna have the gel incorporated in them, and I'll be the only one in the whole world that does it. I'll be able to sell them worldwide, and I don't think that the Saudi Arabia will fuck with me like they did with the boxing stall. I spent 2 years with them. It was almost a $500 million order that they put together, and then after they tested the stall and everything, they said, "Okay, we're all ready to go." I designed a whole training center in the middle of the desert for 1,000 stalls and 500 for their camels, because they raise camels down there. and then they says, okay, we just send one down to make and send somebody with it to make sure that we know how it works and everything else. And I told my partner, John, we send it down there, they're gonna copy it because they already know how to make a deposit situation. They drill oil wells. And when you drill an oil well, you're gonna have that pipe that goes down oxygen free. So they already know how to do that. All they need to know is how we made all the savings, how we got rid of the toxic.
Try that noise again, because it's bad. David says a horrible noise.
I know,
on again.
It's
Well, they can't hear you.
Who it is. It's not me.
Stop again.
So anyway, I don't think they robbed the whole thing from me. So that's why I stopped making them. I just had enough. But I don't think they would rob this because I'll probably sell the blinkers for $150, $200. And why would they try to invent, even though they probably could, but they're better off just buying a couple of hundred sets from me and they have them. Why would you want to? I don't know. But anyway, I got a lot of people calling me already, and Joe Guarino keeps telling me stop talking about it, but I could talk about it now because it's patented and nobody can. Plus,
what was the problem is we couldn't hear you because of the noise. I said,
Oh well, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
now they all say it's better. Thanks, Greg. That's better.
Yeah, it's better. Whatever happens.
Yeah, and Billy, all the horses that you drove and races you've been in, have you ever seen a horse try to bite another horse during the mile? I've seen it a few times with thoroughbreds. They call it savaging. Yeah, I saw there was a video the other day. I did see somebody getting bit on the shoulder or something. Billy, did you see that?
Yeah, Wally Hennessy.
That's what it was.
Back a month or so ago. They had a horse in New York, Mark Lancaster. If he was on here, he could tell you the horse's name because he bit him. He put quite a bruise on him. He was over at Yonkers racing one time, and this horse grabbed him. Sonny Patterson had the horse. Joe Greeno, he might remember his name. He was really evil. He was a good sire state horse, and his dad owned. But I've seen him do that. And when Jetlag was a 2-year-old, that when I started baby racing them or qualifying, the baby races were done. But Brad Maxwell told me, he said, don't get too close to somebody because he'll bite them. So we're going to the gate, and I said to Richie Silverman, I said, Richie, let me go in the gate first because this horse will bite you. So he goes, oh yeah, sure. So anyway, he went in first, and I'm coming in behind him, and he took right after Richie and trying to bite him. But on the back of Brad's helmet, he said, look at my helmet. He knocked all the paint off his helmet from following him all winter, like training. So, but he never did it in a race. I never ever saw him do it then. But if you said it was Lag himself that did it, it would be more believable because he was a little tough.
We have 7 minutes. We're finishing at 10 o'clock tonight, especially the noise. Everybody's tired, so I say 2 hours is enough anyway.
I'm the noise, I think. You still got the noise?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Off and on.
Did it go right now?
Trade.
It's gone now.
Trade. We don't hear your voice.
Yeah, we've lost Trade.
Yeah, we lost.
Can't hear Trade.
It's either Billy or Trade that's doing, or you. Because it ain't me.
You know what? I don't know why, because I've been in lots of Zoom, and so is Billy or Microsoft Teams. I've never heard of this before.
No. Well, I'm on my laptop, a little like tablet.
So am I.
Maybe it's bad. Yeah.
No,
but
I'm on
right
mine.
now. Can you hear it now?
No.
Stop.
No.
Oh, now see.
Yeah.
You can hear it because okay, I'm gonna mute mine right now.
That's what you got to do. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
that's what it is.
Trade, can you hear? Can you talk now?
It's Billy's. It's Billy's.
No, Billy shut it. He muted his. He's fine now.
No, but the noise stopped. So the noise stopped when Billy shut down. So it's Billy's, whatever Billy's using.
No, you can hear. I can hear, but Trade can't.
Trade, we can't hear Trade's voice. Trade is
no.
Trade is gone.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. There was across the microphone over here. I don't know how it got that way. But Larry, back to what you were saying about the Saudi Arabia guys, they patented a new head pole for the camels, and it's really a good hell of a head pole for the camels. When they're
All
going
right. What's the punchline, Trade? Go ahead.
the punchline is the stupidity of a camel having a head pole. I mean, can you picture it?
They race camels. They nobody they race remotely. They don't nobody's on their back. They race remotely. It's a big thing down there. I mean, they were going for hundreds of millions of dollars to put these camels in these epoxy stalls. They probably have them now.
Manny, I live in Newtown, Bucks County, PA. Why don't you come down? We'll have lunch or something. Just Larry will give you my number anytime you want to come down.
Who are you talking, Manny?
Yeah, no, Manny's good now. We got ever since Manny has become like a schoolboy now. Ever since that you had one of your litanies that I don't know what it is, but he never gives us a problem now. Yeah,
well, for that.
You kept saying how nice he was. You kept saying how nice he was, but then you would lower the boom on him.
It was back. They were backhanded compliments Larry was giving the night I was on.
That's right. That's right. So about Frankie Valli, Larry. Didn't he play Rusty in The Sopranos?
I don't know. I never watched The Sopranos.
I never did either.
They got
he was in.
Because
that was him as Rusty, right, Bill?
Yeah.
Because we lived in Sopranos.
I get that, but we didn't. We love it. I still watch it.
It was all bullshit.
I watch it.
Well, it's embellished. Embellished. But but they might say, listen, they might say that about you too, because I told you the other night, every horse you ever got, by the time you finish the story, you won. The only time you lost is when you want to lose. I've never heard anybody that good in my life.
Harold Story could do that.
Is he the same way? Yeah.
Harold Story. Harold first told me about snake venom. It's something about Monticello. We're in the paddock, and he was telling me about snake venom, that he was using it all.
Try the mute again, Billy. Yeah, that stops it. Yeah, that stops it. Trade.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you good.
No?
I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, somebody just said that Frankie Valli was Rusty in The Sopranos, so I had that right. I got one thing right tonight.
They got very mad at me when I after I come back from Florida, I found out that the father died, and Gandolfini sent for me, and they were and I went there, and then he wanted me to take a picture with the whole crew, and I wouldn't. It says for what reason? I don't need to take a picture, because he was calling them all over, and they got mad at me. The whole cast they got mad at me, but I knew half of them. I knew, and I says I just I don't watch the show. To me, everybody thinks that one guy, I forgot his name, he had 7 other writers, and one was worse than the other. You want to get a writer that uses the right language, just like Casino. When they wrote Casino, they hired Frank Collada, who was the button guy for Spilatro, to be the advisor. They rewrote the script 50 times because it was all bullshit. The way they Scorsese was so great, and this and that and everything else. They rewrote the script because they don't use the right language. But the saving grace for Scorsese is that the regular people that know nothing about that life, they don't know the difference. They don't know the difference. They don't even. It's just.
Right. You're saying that David Chase had the advice of several people.
Yeah, he had 7 other guys writing for him, and one was worse than the other. All they had to do was hire
Manny. That should be very soon, and I don't know. I got to think about it. It's a good question, but anyway, as I said, you just call and talk if you want. But thanks for asking. No, I think the audio. How's it now?
No,
I'm
it's
all
good.
right. I hear you. Everything is good.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's good.
a couple more questions for Billy O. So I got to get those questions in.
You know, most of the time, with
Try it now, Billy.
those scenes that they do, the director says, "Okay, guys, you know the script. Now do it the way you guys would do it," and that's how it comes off really authentic when Joe starts rattling off, and De Niro starts rattling off, and Frankie Vincent, they start rattling off the regular stuff. They don't go by the script then,
No. I get that. Yeah. Frankie
but
Vincent was excellent.
David Chase was a stickler. He wanted you to write whatever the written word was that they have to say it. He was a real jerk.
Right.
He was a real jerk that made a lot of money, and he just got lucky at the right time.
Yeah.
Nobody, the people that watch these, especially worldwide, they don't know the difference. They don't know the difference. But when I hear two mob guys talking Sopranos, and I hear them, I can't listen to it. They don't even use the curse words in the right place. Instead of saying like "get the fuck out of here," they would say "get the fuck out of here." They would say it all backwards. It don't even make sense. And then they get the guitar player from Springsteen's band to play up. What are you kidding?
Yeah, but he was good though, little Steve. He was good. Well, you know what? Yeah, you're just upset that they didn't get you because you would have been very good on there. I would have loved to have seen you on there.
They asked me straight out. There was one guy on there. There were two or three guys that were really good. Frankie Vincent was good. The guy, that other guy, what the hell's his name? In fact, he happens to be Jewish.
Danny, quickly, yes, Fresno. I read about it. You're right, but it's far from anywhere. Sorry, Larry.
There's only there's two actors in the whole Sopranos that they played the part very well. They both had it. Two of them were really good. They were accurate the way they spoke.
Who was that?
Frankie Vincent, David something. He's a Jewish actor. He's the one that was married to Tony Soprano's sister. That guy. I don't know his name. I don't watch the show, but he's really
was good there.
Bobby Bacala, you mean?
No, I think Billy just said his name.
Paulie. He was the guy with the kind of the gray in his hair there. I always thought he was.
No, but he was married to Tony.
That guy was the real monster. He just overdid it, but he was a real monster. He was from Brooklyn. He was right across the street from me when I but he's a real mob guy. The only thing is he played the part too much. If he was more himself, he overplayed the part where Frankie Vincent, guys like Frankie Vincent, Joe Pesci, they were in real life. You go to have breakfast with Frankie Vincent every Sunday, and he'd be the same exact way. The way he talked to the waitress. Same way he does. Same thing with Joe Pesci. He's exactly the same in person when you go out with him he is in the movies.
So he just plays himself then.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably
I sold Joe my first guitar, My first
Billy, hit your mute again, will you?
What's that?
I said to Billy, hit his mute again, see if it helps. Yeah, stop.
It helps. Now, how can Billy fix that when Ronnie Pierce comes on?
We'll have it fixed before that. Don't you worry.
How are you going to have it fixed when you don't even know what it is?
Well,
I'll get the genius. I'll get the genius down here again. So you fix the other.
That's right. That's right.
I can't wait till one of you guys try to get Ronnie Pierce to say more than 3 words.
PM says, Greg, that noise is actually Billy breathing. I don't think he blows that hard.
Oh, yeah, give him Lasix then. Yeah, he needed some Lasix.
Well, Larry, well, it's that time anyway. We've had enough, right?
Okay.
I think we've had enough.
Trade, I just want you to know, Trade,
What?
we don't have time to do it now, but I have that song that you did with Earl Haggett.
Yeah.
I have it. I played it last Tuesday night. And everybody loved it. It's unbelievable.
Send me a copy of it. Send me a copy. I can't find mine. I have it somewhere.
All right.
Send me a copy.
Gregory said to play it now. I'm going to play it now.
Go ahead, yeah.
Now, this, for those of you that don't know, this is my friend who was in jail for 45 years. While he was in jail, he wrote Juicy, I'm talking about. This is the Monica. He wrote about 50 songs. 3 of them were should have been smash hits. He wrote a Broadway play, and he wrote 1 million poems. This was one of the poems that he wrote. So what I did was I took this one poem.
Really mute yourself again.
I went to Trade Martin, and I says, Trade, get this song by that singer I just said.
Merle Haggard.
Take this song, The Good Times Really Over for Good, and incorporate Juicy's poem into this song. And to me, it's brilliant. Now listen to the words that this guy was a top mobster, a real old-time mob guy. You'd never believe that a guy like him, the real deal, not the bullshit gangster, the real deal, these words came out of his mouth. And not only this thing, but many others. I'm going to play it right now. Yeah. And I named it, let me see, where the hell is it? Okay. Here it is. I named it The Last Days of Rome. Now, this is Trade Martin put this whole thing together. The music, that's Trade Martin singing both parts, Merle Haggard's part and Juicy's part.
Listen, a lot of work went into this.
Yeah. Listen to the words. And here it is.
I wish Coke was still cola and a joint, bad place to be. Back before Nixon and years before we had TV. Many distant years ago, long before King Presley's coronation, when moral values once reigned in this freedom-loving nation. It was back when the patriotic fever of the country was strong, the golden age before the ghost of a dark mushroom cloud came along. I wish a Ford and a Chevy would still last 10 years like they should. Is the best of the free life behind us now? Are the good times really over for good? In upbringing times when a family sat together at a dinner table, when people were swift of foot to heap aid on those disabled, in days of trust when a handshake and a smile closed out a deal, it was when the needy souls would toil gladly for a simple meal. Before microwave ovens, when a girl would still cook, still would. In a magnificent era when folks at Christmas time made a fuss, when boys in the company of girls would dare not to cuss, when kids were ever so mindful to carry their respect to school. It was in the backwoods of time when country music wasn't cool. I wish a buck was still silver. It was back when the country was strong. Before Sinatra and before the Vietnam War came along. Deep in fine history, before came the bailout of corporate greed, It was when the goodly taxpayers had enough struggles to heed. In a period of deity before Federal's scornful law came down. Hear ye, the 10 Commandments in public shall not be found. Are you rolling downhill like a snowball, headed for hell?
Steel guitar, good.
With no kind of chance for the flag or the Liberty Bell. Each new day as my fearful eyes search over these endless skies, I shout out to the grand sculptor of all things to ask but why? Why for the unmerciful act tendered by a state's ruling brass? Those who so choose may abandon their children as if they were trash. Are you rolling downhill like a snowball, headed for hell? With no kind of chance for the flag or the Liberty Bell. Tell me, why must the home of the brave continue to embrace harm and disrespect from recipient countries of our foreign aid wishing to break our neck? Why for the politicos of today disdain coming together to find a cure for an ill-gotten economy where none is left behind? Before the Beatles and yesterday, when a man would still work, still work. And why must the beloved shrine of family togetherness come to an end? What be the name of the next sacredness to perish along with amen? Has the end drawn near for the greatest military might ever known? The once beautiful America, does it now dwell in the last days of Rome? Stop rolling downhill like a snowball, headed for hell. Stand up for the flag and let's all ring the Liberty Bell. Let's make a Ford and a Chevy still last 10 years like they should. 'Cause the best of the free life is still yet to come. The good times ain't over for good.
You'd never believe
That was a great song. You did a good job, Trey.
Thanks. It
There
was a lot of work.
to that.
A lot of work. Well, I played all the instruments.
I had the
except for
luxury.
except for the steel guitar, I played all the instruments too. You know.
I figured that.
Yeah.
I had the luxury. I was doing an ExxonMobil seminar out by the airport in Houston, and I saw where George Jones and Merle Haggard, they hadn't played together in years. They're playing in Beaumont at the Ford Theater, and I went and I knew the band, and with the boys that was so happy when they did the sound check. George would just sing one song, go back to the bus. They said Merle would have kept playing until the show started. He just loved to play, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he started to play. Larry?
Yes.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks for playing that.
Thanks, everybody. We'll try and get the audio fixed. Billy will bring in the genius.
Okay.
Billy.
Thank you, Billy. Billy, I'll see you.
Good seeing you, Billy.
I'll see you.
Google
You're the
Merle,
best,
maybe.
Billy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Larry.
Okay.
Thank you, Greg.